Welcome back to another episode of Just Talk with Gabe. I'm here, my sidekick is here, and so is our guest, Anthony Roberts of ThaRealityIs. So, make sure you grab your snacks, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Don't forget, if you're tuning in on Anchor.fm, leave me a message. You may just be featured in an upcoming show.
All right. You want to get started?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, well, take it away, Mr. Silva.
Anthony Roberts, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, we're glad that you could join us for another episode of Just Talk with Gabe. So how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I know you've been doing the podcasting thing, and I've been trying to, along with your mom, check it out, see how you're doing with it. And but other than that, man, I've been doing good. Still trying to work on podcast stuff, but I'm just ready to get outside, man.
Yeah, I'm ready to, but not right now because apparently the weather decided to get apocalyptic on us.
Yeah, it's pitch black here, so it went from sunny to pitch black and about to storm. So. But
that's because you guys live closer to the coast too, with Galveston and having the water and everything closer to you guys. We don't have that. Pretty much everything up here near Dallas is man-made lakes and rivers and stuff like that.
That's true.
Yep,
that is true.
I know our listeners want us to dive right in, so let's get into it.
All right.
Tell us about your journey to becoming a podcast host.
For me, it started my senior year in college. I took up marketing and broadcasting, and we had to take a class to where we had to learn how to run a radio station. We had to come up with the content and the curriculum of how we wanted to run that show, and I kind of fell in love with it from that point. And I started a show called Music and Motion Saturdays, so I pretty much DJ'd my own show. But then the next semester, we had to come up with a way of how to run a radio show. So I just kind of fell in love with the passion behind that, and there were certain things that I wanted to discuss that we couldn't discuss on college radio. So that's how the ThaRealityIs podcast was created around 2013 or 2012 when we started it, and we've just been going ever since. And I really wanted to find that avenue because it just gave me an avenue to have a voice. Most people, when they graduate college, they go straight into, wanting to be in a radio station or do something directly with radio nationally or locally. But for me, I just felt like I wouldn't be able to have my own voice, say the things I wanted to say, or interview the people that I wanted to interview. And I just didn't want to take that long walk that it takes to get up the ladder to do what I wanted to do. So, I just created my own lane with the podcast.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. How do you choose your guests for the show?
Honestly, I try not to base my show off of guests because I didn't want to become too dependent on it to where it's like, hey, you had a great guest this week, so who are you going to find next week, because that becomes hectic. But with the guests, I just try to find people that are willing to tell the truth and be honest about whatever their journey is, whether it's an artist or an actor or a creative, an entrepreneur. I just want to find people who are willing to tell the truth. So if I find somebody, first of all, you have to have an interesting story to me. If you have an interesting story, then I'm going to, do my research and look at other interviews or podcasts that you've done to see how well you tell your story. And if you tell your story, real and it's honest, and it's kind of like I can tell you're not hesitating to try to figure out what I shouldn't be saying, those are the type of guests I want, because we just want to have honest dialogue that you can't have at work, dialogue that you probably can't have at church. I want to bring an unfiltered approach to, what people really want to say.
That's true. Because I guess actually I have a question. I want to jump in with a question because you sparked something. Your tagline for the ThaRealityIs podcast is where filtering becomes extinct. So what does that mean to you? And I guess, is that kind of along the same lines? You want people to tell their story just how it is. And why is that important to have a podcast like that?
I mean, for me, tagline did come from that. I always tell people when me and Artesia were trying to come up with a podcast, because we were like, hey, it can't be Music and Motion Saturdays or something too corny or cheesy. And you also didn't want something to where people are like, what is he talking about? You wanted something that's relatable. And for me, I feel like no matter what the race, what the nationality, at least in America, if somebody's getting ready to tell the truth, they're going to say the reality is. If you watch ESPN, They're saying the reality is all the time. If you watch the news, they're saying the reality is. Trump is saying the reality is, because right before people get to tell their unfiltered truth about something, it's like, well, the reality is. Even if they're fed up, it's kind of like that fed up moment when you're like, you know what, the reality is of the situation is this. And for me, it's like that's where filter becomes extinct. When you're fed up, when you want to just be honest, when you're tired of, sugarcoating things or, shooting the crap, like you want to just tell the truth, that's when people say the reality is. And that's pretty much how I came up with that. And like you said, it is. When I use that, I wanted people to know, hey, where filter becomes extinct, which means when you come here, you can cuss. You can say whatever you need to say to get your point across and tell your story the way you need to tell that story.
Okay. I remember a certain person let something slip on one of your old podcasts. Yeah. Gabe's been on, 2 times?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's good.
What has been the highlight of your career so far?
You know what? Interviewing people that I didn't think I would be able to interview. We had, I tell this story all the time, one of the first big people we had for us was Dominique Perry, and she was an actor on the first season of Insecure when it was the ratings were crazy. I'm surprised she didn't get to come back for the second and now the third season. But when we started interviewing people that we didn't expect, like her or Isaac Keys, who's another actor, or yourself, or just people that we admire, when we reach out to them and they say yes, every time we do that, it's kind of like a notch on our belt. Like, man, people literally told us we couldn't do this, or people literally walked away from the podcast before it, had an opportunity to spread its wings. And now people who we wouldn't think would say yes to us are saying yes to us. People who used to say no are not saying no. And people who we didn't think would be reaching out to us or watching us on Instagram Live are now watching us. I think it was last week we had Marcellus Wiley. He came through on Instagram Live when I was interviewing Isaac Keys. Now, he probably was there to support Isaac Keys because they played in the NFL together, but it's still a 6 degrees of separation because through my work and through Artesia's work and what we dreamed and believed in, we're interviewing people that know other people, that are nationally known or world known, and it's crazy to be in that position right now.
Well, that's cool.
What has been the strangest show you've done to date?
The strangest show I've done to date, anytime I have a sex therapist on the podcast, those are the strange shows. It's sex. Gabe coming into the age now where he's learning about himself, he's learning about women. Like sex, even as an adult, it doesn't make me feel weird, but until you know a person and what their thought process is on sex, it always makes me nervous. So anytime I interview a sex therapist, those are the shows that are the most outlandish and awkward, and you just can't really prepare for those.
When you get awkward, you start cracking up. Now, I have a question. You mentioned Artesia. Who is Artesia, and kind of what is her role within your business, within the ThaRealityIs podcast? What is her role? So
let me see how I can best word this. So Artesia is my business partner. She's a business partner. She's a friend. She's someone that's been in my corner through some of the hardest times in my life. Honestly, the reality is Roberts Media Group, none of it would be if it wasn't for her. Like I said, she's the one who pushed me away from UTA Radio. We talked about interracial dating and some things there one day, and they wanted me gone. And she helped me make that transition into Fishbowl Radio when I knew nothing about it. They say, a lot of people say, well, you got to cross your I's and dot your T's in business. She's the I and the T. So yeah. I tell people all the time, when it comes to the podcast, I'm the brain, she's the brains, and I'm the shit talker. Excuse my language, Gabe. But that is what the podcast is. So she's the backbone of the business. She keeps it going. I'm the personality of it. A lot of times when people see interviews, they congratulate me when it's her who has set it up. So if I tell her, hey, I want to interview this person, she does whatever it takes to get that done. Even if they tell her no the first time, she's still doing it. So Artesia to me is pretty much my left arm. Some people say my right arm, but I'm left-handed. So she's my left arm, which is my strongest arm. And if it wasn't for her, the podcast would not be here.
That's good. Hats off to Artesia.
Yeah.
Good for her.
In addition to podcasting, you also own RMG Media Group. So tell us about that.
So Roberts Media Group, that was it was birth. It came through birth of the Reality Is podcast. We did the Reality Is podcast for about 2 years, and then I started getting into photography. Artesia bought me my first camera. When we did the photography thing, it started to blow up based on just me having a creative eye on how I wanted to do things. So we started to then add more equipment to what we were trying to do. And then we started shooting little videos and trying to shoot commercials and working for other people. So Artesia was like, well, why not have a media company where you can do creative videos and videography, podcasting, and just bring all the things that you love to do to tell your story and help other people tell their story under one umbrella. And I wanted it to be something sleek. I wanted it to be something, professional. And she was like, why not use your last name? And we also came up with that, as I've told the story before. I applied to Richards Group, which is a big media company, I think the biggest media company or advertising company in Texas. And right. I had 4 interviews. I got down to the last interview. Everybody loved me. I thought I was going to have the job, and it's always one stickler. And I was interviewed by this lady, and she was tough. I could tell she was tough, by the way, when she walked in the room. And she grilled me with a couple of questions. I did good with the questions, but I think she understood that I didn't really have the direction in which I wanted to go, which is why mentorship is important to me, and I didn't have one to teach me that. But after that, I kind of took that Richards Group denial as a slight, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to build my own company, and we called it Roberts Media Group to kind of mimic the Richards Group, to where anytime I felt like giving up or anytime I felt like stopping, when I thought about Roberts Media Group, it made me think about the Richards Group and how they shut the door on me without even giving me an opportunity.
No, that's an awesome story.
Yeah, it is.
So just say you kind of just want to take a no and turn it into your own personal yes.
Exactly.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
We're working on Gabe here.
I think it's a bit time for a commercial break.
Okay,
all right. We'll
take our commercial break, and guys, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. All right. Okay, thank you guys for listening to our word from our sponsor. If you haven't downloaded the Anchor app, download it today.
And now back to some questions. What's the secret to it all, being an entrepreneur, a podcaster, or, well, is there a secret?
Man, it's really not a secret, and this is the best way I can explain it, Gabe. Right now, it's probably been a time that you've had a disagreement with your mom, Miss Tiffany, and you probably don't understand that she's doing something for your best interest. And then you'll get to my age at 37, and you'll realize, dang, I don't know anything at 37, so what did my mom know at 37 while she had me? So I said all that to say this. There's no secret to it. The only thing I can tell you is anything that you want, like they say, the cliche statement, go after it. But what they don't tell you when they say go after it, it's going to be some crappy days. You may lose 2 years straight, but you literally have to be that determined to say, hey, I'm just going to keep going at it, whether it's yielding you some gains financially or whether you're just breaking even. And honestly, when you're an entrepreneur, breaking even is a win. When you're not owing anybody or you don't have any debt, that is a win.
Yeah.
So honestly, really, like everybody else. Huh?
I just said, yeah, it sounds like a win to me.
Yeah, so you just got to stick to it. I mean, it sounds cliche, but sticking to it regardless. And this is the way I think of it. I can stop doing everything I'm doing because it may not be where I want to be. And what am I going to do? Just work a 9-to-5 job and then let 5 years go by. You can say 5 years go by and you stop doing this and you work a 9-to-5 job and you never grow. You're still going to work that 9-to-5 job. But at least 5 years from now, even if I keep doing this, I'm going to meet more great people. I'm going to have more possibilities of interviewing the people I want. And as long as it's cost efficient and I can break even, you're learning and doing so many things and still putting yourself in a position to have opportunities as opposed to someone who's not.
That's true. Yeah. I agree with that. That's 100% amazing advice.
It is. And now, here comes the fun round of questions. So, what's your favorite city?
My favorite city, man, is I would have to go with San Diego, California right now. I've been a few places, but San Diego is just very laid back. It's kind of like New Orleans, but cleaner. The water is beautiful. The people are beautiful. The food is amazing. And it's pretty much, if you live there, if you can afford to live there, it's pretty much like being on vacation every day. Even if you lived on the parts of town that's not the best, a beach is not that far away. I think they have like 30-something beaches in the area.
We love California.
Yeah, we love California to pieces.
What's your favorite part of California?
Burbank.
What did you say, Burbank?
Yeah.
Yep.
Burbank.
I've never been to Burbank. That's where they do all the acting and have the studios and stuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And
I learned, and you know what though? I learned that from Isaac Keys, Gabe, because when he did the Get Shorty, when he was doing Get Shorty, they had a part on there where they was trying to find out where the studio was, and on the show they were like, all the studios where they film everything is out in Burbank. So had I not known him or you in acting, I wouldn't know anything about that.
Oh.
See, Burbank is next trip to California, head out to Burbank.
Yep.
All right.
So
I'll have to tell Artesia about that.
What's your favorite food?
My favorite food still like a kid, and probably is yours, Gabe, pizza.
Oh, yeah, I love pizza.
I'm still a kid, man. Yes. Extra pepperoni if they don't mind.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
But I do have an adult food. My adult favorite food is I do like filet mignon and like twice baked potato with all the little trimmings and bacon bits and, all of that.
Okay, both of those sound good to me. Both of those options are good.
What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie, Wizard of Oz, Judy Garland.
Awesome. High five virtually.
It's one of my mom's favorite movies.
That's mine, man. My mom said when I was a kid, she was like, you always used to be laying on your stomach, laying in front of the TV, and when I would ask you what you were doing, she said I used to pronounce it and say I'm watching The Wizard of Oz. Because, our kids, we can't talk. We don't even know how to use our tongue and our lips yet.
That's true.
Yeah. What's your favorite TV show?
My favorite TV show, I would say of all time, something that I still watch is Criminal Minds. I like a thinking show. The older I get, I don't watch it. I used to watch it all the time when I would go to, before I went to bed, I would just watch it over and over again. And I liked it because it makes me think. I like TV shows that make me think, try to solve some mystery. So, yeah, that was my show. My adult show that I like right now, let's see what I'm going with. I like 50 Cents for Life right now. That's something that I'm watching a lot of right now, and Westworld.
Oh, Westworld's good. Westworld's really good.
It's very slow. Westworld is so slow, but the thing about Westworld I tell people is with HBO, you may not get all the action all the time, but they're going to show you everything. The acting is going to be good. They're going to have some range in their acting. And if somebody's supposed to be naked, they're going to be butt naked. So
we've had like a massive binge-a-thon since we've been all quarantined.
Yeah.
And Gabe has picked some good shows to watch. So what do you recommend on Netflix?
I recommend on Netflix. Huh. Well, actually, what would you
I like Raising Dion. Have you seen Raising Dion?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have. We have seen that.
I love Raising Dion, man.
It's a good show, and he actually covered the first issue of this year of Action Magazine. So
yeah.
Oh, he did?
You have to check it out. His interview was really good. He's a sweet child. Nice. And then what is that one that you've been addicted to lately, or that we just finished watching?
We just finished watching Lucifer.
Yeah, that was pretty.
I do like Lucifer. Fun. Yeah, I've seen I think with Lucifer I watched the first season or two. I just finished watching. Now, I don't know what you allow Gabe to watch or what he's watching right now with him being an actor. He may be ahead of the curve, but Ozark is a really good show on Netflix.
You were like the third or fourth person to tell me about Ozark.
Hey,
so
I've been watching Ozark since it came out. It's a really good show. So the premise of it is it's a family. It's a wholesome family from Chicago, but their dad is really good at money laundering. He's good with numbers and mathematics. So it's like the whole family is a part of money laundering for the cartel. And it's just, you can imagine that lifestyle. So that's what you have.
I may have to check that out on my own.
Yeah, that's what I said. You probably have to do it without Gabe. They have a kid in there that's in the family that's about Gabe's age, but yeah.
And we actually started watching another one. What's it, Merlin?
Merlin, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard about Merlin, but I have not seen that one.
It's actually better than I thought. I was kind of cringing, but it's actually better than I thought. So I'm gonna give it 2 thumbs up as for now.
Let's have a bit of sports talk.
Sports talk, I check it.
What's your favorite basketball player?
Right now it's Russell Westbrook, man. Russell Westbrook is 1A, LeBron is 1B. Russell Westbrook, because of his tenacity, like his motto is why not, and that's kind of how I live my life. Like, why not? Why can't I do what I want to do? Being a black dude, a black man in profession, in corporate, and trying to be an entrepreneur, like, a lot of people do tell me, hey, you should probably cut your hair and you have tattoos. But for me, I'm like, why not? I'm still educated. I still know what I want to do. And he has that same mentality. People tell him what he can't do and he proves them wrong. And when he can't do something, he switches something up. And, if he's not good at something, he changes it up and brings something different to the table. And I think it's, to be able to be a chameleon and switch things up like that, I think that's important. He does it on the basketball court. I'm sure he does it in life. But, yeah, he's my kind of guy.
Yeah, being a chameleon is actually a really good thing to have for anything.
That's true.
Yes, it would.
That's true. Now, you said he's 1A and LeBron was 1B. Why LeBron?
Yeah, man, who cannot love LeBron? He loves his family, he takes care of his family, he looks out for everybody else, he opened up a school, he gives back to his community. He just doesn't do anything wrong. We know he does things wrong, but he's so good at doing things right that who cares about what he's doing wrong? If he's not kidnapping people, then, or the head of the cartel, then I don't know what else you're gonna do to make LeBron not like LeBron. And of course, his own court skill, like he's 35 and he's still playing like he's 25. So it's just like you have to respect everything that he's done. And I grew up in the Jordan era, and I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. That's my favorite team, basketball team, is the Chicago Bulls, and then whoever Russell Westbrook and LeBron are playing for. But watching Jordan win 6 rings and watching LeBron, I'd still pick LeBron as the best player. That's just me. And I think we get too caught up on respect of a genre to say, like, somebody will say, oh, Muhammad Ali is better than Mike Tyson. Well, even if Mike Tyson lost, it's like if you put them two in a ring in their prime, you don't know who's going to win. So you just have to go with your gut of who you like and why you like them, and not let anybody else to deter why you like somebody.
That's true.
That's true.
Stick to your guns.
Oh, finally, my favorite question. If you could only take 5 things to a desert island, what would they be?
I would need to take a laptop. Now, desert island, I probably won't even be able to reach nobody, especially since Sprint has been bought out by, Sprint got bought out by T-Mobile. So let's just forget about the internet and phones, period. I would need a good, I could bring anything or anybody.
Anything you want.
Yep.
But it can't be a person?
Yeah, it can be a person.
Oh, okay. All right, so I'm probably going to bring a couple of people. I probably have a woman that I can withstand, a good friend. Dang, that's 1, 2. My mom, my brother, and enough food to last us a lifetime.
Okay. It's a
and actually, I wouldn't even need the food because I feel like we can create our own food on that island if it's a healthy island. So then after that, I would just say maybe a dog. If I got food and I got the love and my family and a dog, like what else do I need? If that's the way I have to live.
Well, if we let you have Charlie, we let you borrow Charlie, you bring him back. You find a way to bring him back.
Get back.
He's our little spoiled brat.
Yeah.
If you could interview anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
I still would say, I've said this all the time and possibly till I could do it, Kanye West. I know it's damn near impossible, but that would be like, yeah, if I ever got an interview with Kanye West, I probably could just stop doing everything I'm doing. And but you know what? I couldn't stop because if I got an interview with Kanye West, everything for me would change by tomorrow. So, and Artesia just sent me a article, and congratulations to him because he just became a billionaire. He said Forbes said he is a billionaire, and they didn't specify the number, and he texted his friends and said, Forbes got it wrong. We $3.3 billion up. So congratulations to him, man.
Wow. Well, he made it.
Yeah.
That would be a good interview to hear, actually.
It would be amazing.
So what do you want your new fans that after they hear this, they're going to tune into The Reality Is and they're going to follow you on social media? What is the one thing or a few things that you want them to know about you and your podcast?
Well, what I want them to know about my podcast is, it's a podcast for people. It's a podcast for if you're a new listener. I always cringe when new listeners tell me they're listening because for me, I know how much of my personal business that I pour into this. I know how much of myself I put into it. So, of course, it's like if somebody has a negative thing to say about it, I don't take offense because I've heard people say negative things, but it's just like you want them to listen with an open mind and an open heart, because I'm crazy when I talk on her. I talk about sex, I talk about racism, I talk about religion, I talk about interracial dating, I talk about things that push people's buttons, and I talk about the things that you can't talk about at work, like church and state, and I speak freely about it. So I think the reason that we continue to grow, we're almost at 60,000 plays this year, and I think the reason we continue to grow is because people need somewhere to go to hear the truth. You can rarely hear the truth at even church sometimes anymore. So I think what I want my new listeners to know is that if you want to hear something real, if you want to hear something that's truthful, if you want a question answered from my perspective, honestly, this is the place that you should be. And the reality is, and Roberts Media Group is where you should be listening to podcasts at.
That sounds good.
Yeah. What advice would you give to people out there who want to follow in your footsteps?
I would first say follow in their own footsteps. I wear a size 11. They could probably wear a bigger size and do way better things than I can and do way more things than I can. But if they did want to follow in my footsteps of just starting out, I would say follow in my footsteps about just living your own dream, living your truth. And when you're telling your truth, don't just tell the good parts, tell the bad parts. And I think that's another reason why people like the podcast, because I've talked about, struggling before. I've talked about, living out of my car and how it was hard for me when I first came to Dallas. And so I just say, if you're going to follow in my footsteps, whatever you do, be honest and truthful about what it is you're doing.
That's true.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Just be truthful.
Even if it sounds stupid, keep doing it.
Some things Gabe comes up with. No, I'm joking.
If you weren't running your podcast in business, what would you be doing instead?
Well, my day job, I am a project manager. So I'm a project manager by day. I work for a company that, it's called Interline Brands, but it's known by another company we were bought out. But if I wasn't doing that, I honestly would want to be in broadcast and marketing. Like what I do with podcasting, that's what I would want to do on an everyday level. But if podcasting or media was taken away from me as a whole, then I would say project management is a place I love to be in, but I would still want to do it in media and do it in media for minorities, because I feel like minorities definitely don't get opportunities like they should. They don't get equal opportunities with pay. They don't get equal opportunities with you, Gabe, being in filming and acting. We just don't get equal opportunities. So I would still want to be a project manager or somebody wealthy enough or intelligent enough in a position to empower minorities and other people who don't have the opportunity.
That's neat. That's awesome.
That is awesome. So, last question of the day. What's next for The Reality Is and RMG Media?
Man, for The Reality Is, I'm hoping more live shows. I'm hoping more dope content and dope interviews with people that we've never interviewed before. My goal with the Reality Is a lot of people always try to get me to interview like A-list people, but I literally intentionally shoot for B-list, C-list, or what maybe people may even consider D-list. I don't even know if it's a D-list. But the reason I pick those people is those are the type of people that are working hard to get to where the A-listers are. So I feel like the stories are better, they're more authentic, they're more realistic, and people are willing to tell those stories, and they're willing to say okay to an interview more so before they possibly get to a point of being stuck up, or not even stuck up, being too busy for, to do smaller interviews.
That's true. Yeah.
But Roberts Media Group, I want to, we have a documentary that we're supposed to be working on. We were supposed to be shooting all month long for April, but because of, coronavirus and quarantine, we're not able to shoot anything right now. But Roberts Media Group, a documentary coming. We're hoping to do more commercials for, local restaurants and local entrepreneurs who can't maybe afford the big budget videographers and creative teams. We want to work with those people who may have a little bit less of a budget, but they still want good quality for a product.
Oh, that's neat.
Now, could you tell us a little bit about the documentary, or is it a secret?
It's not a secret. It's just going to be, we've been kind of playing with it. We want it to be longer, but then I kind of started thinking about it. I was like, a documentary really is like maybe 5 to 10 minutes long if you want a good one, maybe even 15 minutes. You kind of want to just be concise, and you can do multiple documentaries. But at first I was trying to do one big one to tell how we came about, but I think we can still do that within a smaller setting. So the next the documentary we're working on, we're probably going to put one out that's like 10 to 15 minutes long. and then we'll probably just keep putting out individual ones as we do our projects.
That sounds neat.
But it'll just be about who we are and what we're doing and how we came about.
Well, that's the first one, so we're looking forward to many more to come.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you for coming on.
We really appreciate your time.
Man.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you come back and visit us, and
yes, please.
We'll have to have some more conversations about desert islands and TV and
for
football
sure.
players.
Hey, I want to tell you guys, congratulations on getting the podcast kicked off. I remember, I think it was maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, however long it was when I first met you guys, and I remember you, Tiffany, telling me after Gabe did the first interview, I think you texted me or teased it later, and you was like, he has the bug now. And he had wanted to do it, but you wouldn't let him do it because he was too young yet, which Gabe, that was right. She was protecting you. But it's like now that he's grown and went through some other experiences. And Gabe, I think one thing you have to realize is you're doing this podcast because you want to, and also because she believes and trusts you are able to do it now. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to see the growth and the maturation process, that's the thing that I like the most. I do not have a kid. I tell people all the time I may never have a kid, but that's why I love situations like this and relationships like this that I have with Gabe and other younger kids, because it allows me to be a big brother. It allows me to be the father that I never had. And that's why I say you can call me anytime. It doesn't matter what time it is. If you guys need something, even when he gets to that age, Miss Tiffany, where he going to probably cut up and he needs somebody to get him in line, you can call me, because it's going to come at least once. But remember this, Gabe, whenever you decide to challenge your mom on something, if you really believe that she loves you and cares for you, even when you're angry, take 10 seconds out, or take 1 minute. Walk into your room or walk outside. Sit down. Don't punch nothing. Don't curse. Don't speak ill will about it. Just sit down and think for 1 minute everything she just told you and how you're reacting. Because if you don't do that, sometimes we end up saying things and doing things to our parents that we regret because we think we know everything. And I'm telling you, bro, no matter how old you get, you don't know nothing. You're always learning. So even when your mom disagrees with you or you disagree with her, think before you speak and let her say what she has to say first and then respond. I promise you. It'll save you a lot of time, frustration, and everything, because she clearly has your best interest at heart, man.
All right, I can do that.
Thank you for
cool.
that.
Thank you.
Definitely. Well, we look forward to more talks, and I want to see Artesia soon, so hopefully you guys can come after we all get off of quarantine and we can all hang out
for sure
and do this again. Thank you so much for coming. And
thank you.
We're out.
Yep, we're out.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Just Talk with Gabe. Special thanks to our guest, Anthony Roberts from ThaRealityIs. Check him out on iHeartRadio and Instagram. Make sure to tune in next time. Oh, and don't forget, leave me a message. I want to hear what you think.